Welcome back. And my final guest is Rockland County Sheriff Lou Falco. Welcome, Sheriff Falco.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation.
So, Sheriff, I've known you for very many years, and I know that we had been together in Leadership Rockland, and I've very much watched your rise through the Sheriff's Department, and now as Rockland's Chief Law Enforcement Officer, and it's really been a great thing to see, and your public service is second to none within the county. So I want to thank you for being my guest, and thank you for being on. But for the benefit of our viewers who, unlike me, may not know you, maybe you could just give a little bit about your background and then how you got into the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, I was born and raised in Stony Point. Grew up on the streets of Stony Point. My father was a constable in the town of Stony Point prior to the Stony Point Police Department being developed. And he used to work on weekends, and I was always enamored with him putting on his uniform and his gun and going out and checking the stores and stuff and giving back to the community. And at that point, I always wanted to be a police officer. And I graduated at North Rockland High School in 1978. And in '79, there was an opening for a dispatcher in the sheriff's office. So I took that job. I was there about 4 or 5 weeks, and I came home and I said to my parents, I'm going to be the sheriff of this county one day. And they both laughed at me, the same as you just did. It was an ongoing joke in the family. Then I became a civil deputy. Then I became a road deputy. I rose through the ranks, held every rank in the sheriff's office, up to chief. And then in 2011, I ran for office of sheriff, and I won. And I tell you, it's just it's a thrill. And it's not even a job to me anymore because it's a passion. Right. And so therefore it comes easy to me, and I love serving the people. I've done it now for 39 years, and I hope to do it for quite a few years to go.
I think the first time I met you was probably around 2000. It was a couple of years before Leadership Rockland, and then I got to know you very well through Leadership Rockland. We were in the same class, and for those that don't know, Leadership Rockland is a community group that it's like a master's level course, if you will, on Rockland County. They meet once a month for about 9 months out of the year for a full day for specific topics of interest. And I know that you've kept up your involvement with Leadership Rockland through law enforcement. But at the time, I think that you had just moved into a senior level within the Sheriff's Department. And it was great really to watch you kind of move along behind, at the time, our former sheriff, Jim Kralik, who really was an institution within the Sheriff's Department in our county. And I think that you've really admirably stepped into those shoes and really kind of charted your own course with the Sheriff's Department. Tell us a little bit, for viewers, a little bit about the Sheriff's Department in general. Just kind of the structure, the makeup, some of the things that the sheriff is involved with.
Sure. The sheriff's office is divided into 4 divisions. The police division, which is the red and white cars you see on the road. The communications center, which is 44 Control, which dispatches fire, police, and EMS. The corrections division, which is our biggest division and probably the most stressful division of all of them. And then there's our civil division, which is also stressful from the aspect of, we're out collecting judgments, liens on people's property, sheriff's sales and levies, and also doing evictions. And that, believe it or not, I mean, it's not very amorous to do that, but it has to be done, and it's by court order. So, that in itself is a stressful job also in our civil division. So it's 4 divisions. We have 176 square miles. We're the smallest county in New York State outside of the 5 boroughs of the city of New York. But we take on a umbrella type of atmosphere in this county. And what I mean by that is the police department in this county are very fortunate. The sheriff's office has taken on all the specialization throughout the county, except for the town of Clarkstown. They do a lot of their own also. But for all the other 8 police departments, the sheriff's office is the primary when it comes to crime scene work, arson investigation, bomb detection, bomb dogs, things along those lines. So it gives the other police departments the ability to concentrate on their quality of life issues within their town and village. And it's a unique model in the state. As a matter of fact, there are many other counties in the state now that want to model themselves after it, and they're working alongside the state police as we are to do that. And we've also taken on the state police. We are dispatching them out of our communications center now throughout Rockland County, which is working very well for them, for their officer safety. It also also tells us what additional resources are on the roads in the county of Rockland if in fact there's a major event and we need assistance, not only in the sheriff's office, but we'll be able to tell every other police agency how many cars there are, what they're doing, and where they're at any given time. So the sheriff's office is I consider it second to none, but from the aspect of the specialization and the things that we're giving back to the people, and that's helping keeping the tax base down for the local residents in each town and village. So we're very, very proud of it.
You know, there's a number of other aspects, you know, with the Sheriff's Department. You have some very unique services that the towns rely upon that you're able to offer out. You have a mounted patrol as well. Maybe you could speak a little bit about your patrol division and about the mounted patrol as well.
Sure. Well, you know, in the patrol division, we have a couple different assets. One is the Marine Unit, and we have 33 miles of waterfront that we cover. And we cover not only the Rockland side, but we assist Westchester, New York City, and to our north, which is Putnam and also Orange counties. So we have a very, very big part in the Hudson River, and right now we're very active down at the New Tappan Zee Bridge with also keeping that secure from any type of terrorism. The other thing that the police division does is a lot of anti-terrorism stuff, which a lot of people don't know about. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we are measuring radiation detection within this county as partners to the city of New York, which is called Secure the Cities. And they help subsidize us and pay for some of our assets in order to do that. So people that are sleeping don't necessarily know, but they are always being protected from the aspect of counterterrorism. Our mounted unit, we're deployed at the request of those police departments in 3 villages on a regular basis: Spring Valley, Haverstraw, and Nyack. And it works very well for those police departments. Again, 1 cop on a horse is worth 10 cops on the street. Right. So when it comes to major areas of concern or large crowds, we help out. Also major events such as the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is the second biggest parade in New York State. So that asset really applies itself there. And then we go off into the road patrol. The road patrol not only does county property, but we do a lot of interdiction on the road. DRE officers, we make a lot of DWI arrests. And then we go off into all of our specialization, as we kind of touched on before, which is crime scene investigation, arson, polygraph. You know, we do so many things. And, you know, we make ourselves accessible not only, believe it or not, to police departments in Rockland County, but our bomb unit is part of a regional task force. So we go to Westchester, we go to Orange, we go to Sullivan. We take in all the fingerprints in a 5-county region, so we can make sure that we're on top of that and monitor that. You know, we're responsible for DNA. We do a lot of DNA work. So there's a lot that goes on that people don't even realize.
It's really a very comprehensive law enforcement you know, division, and in some you know in some jurisdictions it's not as extensive, but here in Rockland with your sheriff's department, it's really you're involved in every aspect of policing. It must make for a very complicated day for you.
Well, it does. You know, not only that, you know, there's the second element of being sheriff, and that is to make sure that the taxpayers are protected. So I have to draw a balance between public safety and making sure that we're not draining the taxpayer. And we do that. I mean, we have a very large budget. We probably have one of the largest portions of the budget now in the county of Rockland County government. But the bottom line is, over my first, started my 6th year, we've given back or saved $14 million. So I'm extremely proud of my staff for that, working alongside with me to get that done, to cut out anything that was unnecessary, and or, as importantly, drawing in grant money and other resources to drive down our numbers, but yet keep the people safe.
Right. You know, one of the things that I know that you've been very involved with, unfortunately, we're dealing with this heroin epidemic, and beyond that, also the issues that are taking place with prescription drugs. And I know that you've done some great work with the take back of the pharmacy meds and the prescription drugs that are out there. Maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
Sure. Let me just give just a really quick how we got started. In 2010, I was the chief of the patrol. And the Narcotics Task Force came to me and said, you know, we're doing a raid, but it's like the first of its kind. It's all kids between the ages of 16 and 17 and 26. And it was all over phones, and it was all about prescription drugs and taking prescription drugs out of their parents' and their grandparents' medicine cabinet and selling it. And we went to I was in charge of a team that went out. We had everybody had four people that we had to apprehend. And the first house we went to, we knocked on the door, and I said, "Is Sally home?" And the mother came to the door. "Well, what's wrong? Is she okay?" And, "Yeah, she's okay, but we have a warrant for her arrest for selling drugs." Well, that's impossible. Sally's at UConn. Well, it happened over the summer prior to her leaving for college. And then the next house we went to, Johnny was in Penn State, and one was in Ohio State. So I came back and I talked to the director of the task force and the DA at the time, which was Ogilvy and Sheriff Kralik, and I said, "Listen, there's something going on here that we got to get out in front of." And we started Operation Medicine Cabinet, which was the drug take-back. And every police department in Rockland County participates in it. And I can't tell you, you know, and I do these talks all the time. Do you go home and do you count your prescription pills? The answer is no, 90% of the people. And then grandparents, their nieces, their nephews, their grandchildren are coming and taking their medicine, and they're taking their heart medication. And they're getting into what they call Skittles parties, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And last year, we had, in 2016, 39 overdose deaths in Rockland County. 75 Narcan saves. Now, prior to Narcan coming in, we would have had over 100 deaths in Rockland County. When this first hit, we were averaging 14 or 15. Bergen County was averaging 110. Westchester County was averaging 95. Narcan has helped us, except it's also become a crutch. And I give a little hat off to Senator Carlucci. You know, he brought Narcan to the everyday citizen in Rockland County if you had a child or something that was abusive, and now you can buy it in pharmacies. But I believe there should be some follow-up, that if we had to use Narcan on you, you have to go and see somebody of a professional nature to get some type of a treatment for it. But that being said, every police officer in Rockland County is trained with Narcan. The numbers would be staggering if we didn't have Narcan. And I have to give my hat off to the legislature and our new city legislator, Lon Hoehm. And what he did is he added a second layer to what we were already doing. But that layer made it more convenient for seniors, if you will, when they were going to pick up their prescriptions at a pharmacy. And certain pharmacies signed on board where they will take the take-back drugs. And prior to Mr. Hofstein's initiative and the legislature's approval, they couldn't do that. So he made the legislation permissive in order to proceed ahead and build another layer. And you know, people said, "Oh, you know, he's coming in conflict with you." No, he's not. My job as the chief law enforcement officer is any drugs that we can get off the streets of the county of Rockland and keep our young adults and our adults, in some cases, safe, that's my job. And so therefore, you know, I applaud him and the legislature for doing that. I'm not embarrassed by it. And listen, I also have taken on the role that we collect all of the drugs from all the police departments and we destroy it. And I say that to your viewers out there. Please turn them in. Don't pour them down the toilet. Don't pour them down the sink. It gets into our water system, and our ecology gets ruined. The bottom line is we want you to turn them in, and we pay a minimal fee, and we take it to Dutchess County, and we have it incinerated. The last time we went, 800 pounds of prescription drugs from Rockland County. But I want you to think about that. Each oxycodone pill on the streets of Rockland County, one pill, is going between $60 and $90.
Wow.
If we've destroyed an average of 900 pounds every year, think about how much money and how much we're doing the good for the people of the county of Rockland. We're doing a lot of good.
Well, that's incredible.
And that is a collaboration between the district attorney, the sheriff, all the police departments, our citizens, and now the legislature jumping in to give us a helping hand, taking this stuff off the streets. And I don't know that we're even doing enough yet, but it's what we can do right now to make our young adults safe.
Sheriff, I want to thank you for being such a wonderful guest, but more importantly for being such a dynamic and hardworking sheriff. I've had the pleasure and privilege of knowing you now and calling you a friend for 15 to the last 17 years, and since we've first met, and it's really been a pleasure for me, and to see what you've done with the Sheriff's Department, and how you've conducted yourself, and how you continue to conduct yourself as the Sheriff of Rockland County. Not only just with what you've talked about here today, but also you kind of as a sheriff, as a chief law enforcement officer, you also kind of are the keeper of the history, if you will, of law enforcement within the county, and you're really doing a great job to with that aspect of your job as well, and really following ably in the steps of Sheriff Kralik and all the other sheriffs that preceded you that really helped build the Sheriff's Department to what it is today. And you've really taken it from a wonderful institution, but into a fulsome, law enforcement institution that's really vibrant and crucial to the public safety here in Rockland County. So thank you for your friendship, and thank you for being a wonderful guest today.
And thank you for having me on, and hopefully we can do this again and maybe talk about other elements of law enforcement and public safety as we move forward in this county.
Good. It's a deal. We'll have you back.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we'll be right back.